Hello all. Slightly different vlog this time. I got a little bit tired of all the scenery work and can't lay any track any further until I get more scenery done. So I decided to take a break a day or two and do some other things that eventually will come together for the layout. And one of those things was operations and how to get the administrative side of the operations working. I have a whole box full of car cards, and for this new layout I'll probably need to make a few hundred waybills. So and I've been thinking about the other option, which is switch lists using a computer program. I looked at Arthur Houston's series again and thought give it a try. So I've downloaded JMRI, and the operations part of it is completely offline and can be used standalone because I'll be controlling my layout using Rockrail and my own central command station software on a PC. So I've got all the automation done, but now I'm looking at the operations side, how to actually do car forwarding and that sort of thing. Okay, before setting up any car forwarding program, in particular the JMRI that I'm going to have a quick review of, you need to understand your layout in terms of yards and locations and spurs at which industries are attached. So again, this layout, I have two yards. At the south end, there's the Venlo yard here. And then there's a main line going around. And at the north end, there's Kaifuk yard here. Venlo yard services these industries here using local trains. And Kaifuk services the industries at the on this level from local trains from the yard. So we have basically an industry. Let's have a look at here, Sitardia coal. That's a coal mine. Basically, it will fill cars here. A local will bring them back to Venlo yard, where they're classified and put onto a yard transfer train. Yard transfer train with a whole bunch of cars then makes a trip from Venlo yard across the layout on the main line, eventually getting into Kaifuk yard, where it is then again broken up and the cars placed on the correct sidings so that the locals, in this particular case, can take the loaded coal car through the branch line here to the Penn power plant here, delivering the coal. And of course the reverse will be the same. The empty cars from the power plant here will go to Kaifuk yard. They'll be amalgamated into a yard transfer train, which will take them to Venlo yard. And then a local way train or a local turn will bring them to Sitardia, the coal mine here, for refilling of the cars. And so you have a whole bunch of industries on your layout with cars going backwards and forwards. Okay, keep that in mind as we go to JMRI. We just load up the starting page of JMRI and hit our database, and then we go into operations here, which is a completely offline part of JMRI and doesn't have anything to do with any of the other functions, but can be used as an administrative tool next to whatever other type of system you might be using. So, operations. In order to set up the system, there are major functions to look at. Again, Arthur Houston went through this in depth, and some others have done that as well on internet with presentations, etc. Settings, basically that simply gives a placeholder for your layout. I call mine Rhineland Rail, and really that's all you need to do. You can put in your scale, but it's about all you need to do here. The next thing you need to do is create locations. Locations are where cars are stored, for instance at yards or at industry tracks. So each one of these, either a yard or an industry siding here is a location, because the cars basically go from one location to the next in the concept of JMRI. So you need to create your locations. So here, let's look at the coal mine, which I was talking about, DSM coal and Arnhem gravel. A quick look at that. That is a location which consists of, in this particular case, 3 spurs. That's basically, a spur is a location with an industry where cars can be dropped and picked up later. So I have, in this particular case, I have the Arnhem gravel and sand. And I have 2, because there are 2 spurs at the coal mine, I have DSM coal 1 and DSM coal 2. So you create those, add them to that location, and you do the same thing for all the other locations you have. If I look at Kaifuk yard, if I look at Venlo yard, that's that has a number of what are called classification tracks. That's where you break up your trains to, for instance, so the local can pick up all the cars going to coal and gravel from this particular track, or the auto racks and the coil steel cars going to Nedcar, the auto plant, from this track. So these classification tracks are where you break up your trains to and place the cars here. The next thing we do is of course cars. That's simply a list of all the cars that you have. Here we have auto racks. I've got coal cars. I've got scrap gondolas, sand hoppers, coil steel cars, garbage cars, etc. You create all of those. They're also very quick to make. Just a couple of minutes I made all these cars, which is a part of what I have. The next thing you need to do once you have locations is create routes. And routes are nothing more than, how does a car get, for instance, from Venlo yard to the coal mine here at Citadia? Or how does a car get from Kaifuk yard here to the power plant here, the coal? So you create train routes which might be completely different to the real routes being run on the railroad, but are simply a from to. So if we look at the Nedcar local, the Nedcar local basically goes from Venlo yard north, goes from the yard to the industry and back again. Then you can add some more information about the maximum number of cars you can take. In this particular case, 10. Called moves. Well, move is really a pickup and a set out. So if you had 5 cars to set out and then 5 cars to pick up, that would be 10 moves. I bet you can set all of this up according to your layout. So you have a number of routes that a train can run. And of course I had a yard transfer. So a yard transfer from Venlo to Kaifuk. That's this one. So it simply goes from Venlo yard, it heads north, and it has more spaces because a yard transfer is quite a long train. And of course we've got the reverse is a yard transfer from Kaifuk to Venlo yard. So basically now we've got routes set up so that I know how a train can pick up a car at the coal mine here, using the local coal turn, place it at Venlo. I then have the yard transfer for the car going from Venlo to Kaifuk, and then I have the local turn, or the local way freight, from Kaifuk to the power plant. And that's basically all there is to it. There's trains, and you simply create trains. These are the actual the turns or way freights. So I've got a Nedcar turn. The train is called a Nedcar turn. You can give it a time. Nedcar turn, we'll edit that, is simply combines the name of the train with the route. So the train has a route attached. That has a route attached that you've created previously. The Nedcar local route is attached to the Nedcar turn in this particular case, and then really that's all you need to do. You can get into to adding which types of cars can be used on the particular service, etc. But that you'll find out as you go along. But that's all there is to it. So our cars, if we go back to what we don't need to do is locomotives. We don't need to. We'll just assume more locomotives attached. But you don't need to use locomotives at this stage. And for the administrative purposes, you don't need to use locomotives at all because they'll just be assigned as required. Makes life a lot easier. But you can add cabooses as required or locomotives to complete a train if you wanted to. I haven't done that at the moment. The cars, of course, are at locations. When you create a car the first time, you can place it here. Where is it at? Location and track. Kaifuk Yard, which is a location you created before, and the track is one of the tracks that can be used within that location. So that's where it's at. And once doesn't matter where you place the cars, the system will sort out exactly what needs to occur with a particular car once it's in a particular location. So a neat thing that I've been doing is having these two screens on one page like this, and we can watch what's happening, because if I go now, have a quick look at a transfer. We'll do a transfer from Venlo to Kaifuk. It usually has more cars, so we'll build it. And it has 10 cars, and when we look down here, we'll see all the cars now that are going to go here. Venlo to Kaifuk, Venlo to Kaifuk, Venlo to Kaifuk, the train. These are all the cars that are going to be picked up by the transfer train and brought from Venlo to Kaifuk Yard. 10 cars. Again, look at the preview. You can print out this switch list and give it to an operator. But here are the 10 pickup cars at Venlo, and these are transferred then to Kaifuk and set out at Kaifuk. So we'll run, and then you can watch what's happening down here. Move, trains en route, move, they've been placed, all the en route information has been changed, the cars are now placed in the location that the train has left them at. So this is great fun. It's all offline, it's all virtual. In fact, you can run a huge layout without having a layout at all, and just watch the cars running around, print switch lists, etc., etc. So this is quite fun, and really gives you an idea how the whole thing works. This took me less than a day to set up. Once I'd watched the videos and read some of the documentation. And it was very, very easy to set up. Of course, I'm only scratching at the surface of what's capable. It's probably only 20% or 25% of what's capable. But gives you some idea of how this will work, switch lists, etc. And the whole JMRI. It's nowhere near as complicated as it first seems. Once you've got your layout in your head, it's very easy to transfer it to that JMRI Operations function. Well, I hope this was of interest to some of you. It certainly is an eye-opener for me. I'm now in a quandary whether I'm going to continue with my car cards, or whether I'm going to go with switch lists. I think car cards are probably more for the single room, the single garage layout, like mine really. You can perfectly handle that perfectly with car cards. The really big layouts with 3, 4, 5, 600 cars and dozens of locations, perhaps then you need to go to the automation of the switch lists. I think I'm in between at the moment. I think the car cards and waybills give you a more feel of what's going on. You can add loads, etc. And this is more pure train operation oriented, because you're simply being told to pick up or set out cars, which can either be full or empty along the layout. But certainly is an eye-opener for me. I was not really keen on going with switch lists, but this is so easy. I'm going to have a think about it. Anyway, I hope this was of interest. As I said, back to the grunt work of scenery. Okay, bye all.